collaborate like just like some farm in Kisumu, where our main name like just like this the tech skill gap in Kisumu, in Kenya and Africa like as a whole. So like we try like to this gap by doing meetups like this one's here, where we have people like who know what they are doing in tech, they can come and speak to us. Then we also have some courses that we teach. And like right now, like we are doing some October intake. So I'm going to share with you that maybe like at the end of the call. Then we also do some solutions where right now like we're working like on some authenticator app that will be able to help people find jobs like in the informal sector. So I think like in a nutshell, that's what we do. And today we have some event where we are going to talk more about launching your career is like in tech and more software engineering. Like you know, like right now we have AI, where like AI, you're able like by code some site and you're able to like build like something from scratch. So like we are going to learn on whether like is it some good idea to learn more about tech like today. So maybe without wasting time, we have a speaker. Our speaker goes by the name Wycliffe Orao. Like I've known him for quite some time. Like I knew him in Moringa. Then later, like why we have him today like is because now like has been samaring like projects that can farm. So like amekuwa kwa hiyo bench where like they're able to hire people in the tech field. Then like amework kama some like kama some dev. So he'll be here like and he's going to share with us first more about his journey, like how like he began like his journey like in tech. Then he's going to share with us like more like of the myths that we need to overcome in the field of software. Then he's going to talk more about AI, like maybe like how you can be able to add like AI in your work and many more. So I think without wasting time, I'm going to invite our speaker, Mr. Ramsombi. We can clap for him as he comes. Maybe we can just like hit on the clapping like emoji as our speaker. And so, Wycliffe, are you on the call?
Yes, Robin. How?
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Right. So maybe
Hello.
you can take it away.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Awesome. All right. Perfect. Maybe I'll just show my face. Then after that, then I'll proceed with the conversation. I'm now at home, so if you hear my neighbors cooking, this is how I look like. So in case you meet me around, just feel free and say hi. All right. Perfect. So I'll just first start by introducing myself, what I do, and then I'll walk you through some of the areas that you guys have mentioned about internships in terms of how to prepare yourself as a in this age of AI and how to establish yourself. Yeah. Um, please. Now, my name is Orao Wycliffe. I work as a solutions engineer at Gebeya. I have worked in technical recruitment before. So originally, I used to work as a technical recruiter. I have some and then last early this year, I made a full switch back to engineering as I work now full time as a solutions engineer. So I'll explain to you the difference between a solutions engineer and a software engineer. So yeah, so that is basically what I do. Now, so let's start first by understanding. I know most of you are trying to get into software engineering. Let me first start by highlighting what the work of a software engineer is. and then we'll tie it back to opportunities. How do you prepare? How do you then become a good software engineer? And of course, how do you survive in this era of AI? I'll start by maybe giving you a story of myself, how I made a full switch into engineering. So early this year, we had a team of engineering of about 70 people. So we did have a product and it was being built by about 70 engineers. So for those who know, so engineers usually work in groups. So there are people who work on the front end. That is what you see in terms of code, in terms of colors, what you see on the front end. Sometimes it goes deep a little bit, but it's mostly around how you see items on your screen, how you see information being displayed to you as the end user. Now, so we have you. So whenever they work in teams, you realize they work as so there's front-end engineers, there is back-end engineers. So these are the people who write logic. They architect or they design the databases. They work on the APIs. APIs is now the channel that you use to move information from the database back to the front-end engineers. And then now we have those who work in deployment, or also known as DevOps. So they work with CI/CD pipelines. Now these are guys who, once the developers have built what they've built, because we have so many developers working on the same application, they bring them together. They put them in an environment that is secure, an environment that can be accessed by so many people across the world. Or many users from different areas, just ensuring security is top notch, ensuring that the product is always fully functional. So we have the front end, we have back end, and then we have the DevOps. So DevOps are the people who, so it's basically development, the people who ensure the application is up and running. So sometimes whenever you visit a site and you realize it is down, it's perhaps the DevOps team is working on something. In most companies, you realize that sometimes the backend engineers work as the DevOps. Now, the engineering team is always supported by product managers. So product managers are the people who, and I'm giving you all these titles so that you can perhaps after this call, get to position yourself in it's still software engineering, but you can still work in some of these various places. So in case you're writing notes, you can always go and look up some of these titles later. So I've talked about the front end, I've talked about the back end, I've talked about the DevOps. Now the DevOps we have now, before I get into the other side. So when I talk about front end, we have junior developers, so junior front end developers. We do have junior backend developers, and then we have senior backend developers, and then we have technical leads. Now, why am I saying this? So why are they positioned in that manner? So you find that sometimes when you're building an application as huge, let's say for example the M-Pesa application, there's a functionality that is very wide. It relies on so many databases, it relies on so many other things. So now you have an entire team working particularly in that area. It could be either, let's say for example, if you're building a solution that is very robust, like a banking system, there could be a team that is just handling payment or payment interactions with other, external tools like Pesalink. Now, in the backend, you also have junior backend developers. We also have intermediate backend developers, and then we have also senior backend developers and the tech leads. So tech leads are the ones who get to merge or approve the work that you've done. So how developers work is that as a junior developer, you work on something. So actually the tech leads sit down, they break down the tasks, they put them into groups, and then they give senior engineers, and senior engineers work with the intermediate and the junior engineers to push their work together back to the tech lead. And then the other tech leads merge their work together. Then they give them to the DevOps team, and the DevOps team gets to deploy them. Now, you realize that the DevOps teams also work closely with product managers. Now, product managers are people who they get to sit down with business analysts, owners of the business, just to understand what is the problem. For example, they could ask questions around what are some of the challenges our users are facing? What are the features? So the product managers get to take down all the requirements. Once they take down all the requirements, let's say, for example, if all of you today decide that, you know what, we don't like how we enter our passwords and something like that in an application, or it's a very repetitive product, it's a very repetitive exercise, or maybe we don't enjoy the experience. Now the product managers get to outline, get to understand the actual problem, and then they break it down to what now can be recoded by the engineers. Now we also have people who are called Scrum Masters. So Scrum Masters, so what happens is, whenever you release a product, every time you realize an application asks you to do an update, there's what is called Scrum ceremonies. So Scrum Masters ensure everybody's doing their work, and at the end of the day, whatever each and every person will be pushing or will be bringing to the table ends up being, being at the same level with what the others are trying, what the overall objective of the activity of what they're trying to achieve as a team. So that is basically part of that. Now, apart from the Scrum Masters, we also do have UI designers, UX designers. So UI designers work on the colors, they work on what features should be where, those kind of things. And then we have the UX team. So the UX team also gets to decide, should we have this? Should we have you putting your password, your PIN first before you get to this, or should we have you getting into this? How many steps do you need to take before you do a withdrawal? What are the security implications and things like that? So those are the UX designers. They just work on the UX for you. So other teams have business analysts that go out there, speak with businesses. They speak with the CEOs, the internal team, and then they outline the actual problems that people have. Then they discuss it with the product managers. The product managers divide them into smaller tasks, and then they give it to the tech team, builds them. The product manager ensures it is in order, then brings it back to the business analyst. So it's an entire circle of so many activities. So based on your strength, you can always get into any of these opportunities. Now, so what do solutions engineers like myself do? So solutions engineering is a new, it's been there for a minute, but it is one of those activities, one of those positions that have recently been created, especially with the rise of artificial intelligence. Right now, AI is able to write code very quickly. Today, there's an application you can build. If you wanted to build an application, you can actually build it in days. Right now, people are shipping out production-ready applications in days. Even I myself, there's an application that I've built that I'll be shipping out in a couple of days. So it's very easy to do it. You can now build, deploy, write down the business thing, everything about everything that you're trying to achieve, and then build it, use software to write it, use AI to write code, and then deploy it, provided you have a little bit of knowledge, the basics, the fundamentals in software engineering, which you need to adhere to, such as how you design your tables, how you design your database, how you query your database for best performance and things like that. So once you have this basic understanding, then you can then go straight to a customer, understand what the problem is, use artificial intelligence to break it down, come up with various solutions, go for the optimum one, use AI to code it, use AI to deploy it, then share it back with the customer, get feedback, and continue iterating. So that is basically what a solutions engineer is. So a solution engineer is somebody who's more on a full spectrum. So I get to write code, I get to speak to customers, I get to design some of the architecture of the products that I work on. I also get to work closely with engineering teams. So once in a while I come across bugs, I have a little bit more of tasks, then I work with engineers, I get to approve their tickets, and so on and so forth. So that is basically, we also have what is called customer engineers. So customer engineers are people who, they work straight to the customers, and they get to listen to their problems and come up with definite solutions for them. So you do things like pre-sales. You explain to them what a product is. So if I was giving you a demo of a product, I'll perhaps share with you how you can integrate your APIs, how you can also be able to use it efficiently for your business needs. So that is also, we also have what is called customer engineers, we have solutions engineers, we have solutions architects, we have all those. So those are people who technically are very deep onto the farthest end of the technology. They understand the databases, they understand the front end, they understand the backends, they understand all those things. Again, we also have full stack developers which work both on the front end and back end as well. So that is basically so many roles. We also have technical product managers, project managers. So these are people who scope how much the project will cost, how much it will take to get a project up and done, in terms of who to speak to, who to hire, who to give a task to, and things. So these are the people who manage all the, the rosy side of the development work. They work closely with CEOs, stakeholders. So let's say, for example, if as a team today we decide to work on a project or an application for the government, for the Ministry of Interior, I'll go tell them this is how much it will cost. Once they give me all the details, I'll come back, say to the project managers, the business analysts, the product owners, and then we get to split it into tasks. We give it to the engineers, then the Scrum Masters follows. Then we also have the QAs, the quality assurance team. This is a team that ensures that whenever you ship code, it doesn't have bugs. Like imagine if you're trying to log into Safaricom and you put your correct PIN, then it refuses that PIN until it leads to you blocking your SIM card. So basically, it's a team that ensures the passwords are working, the buttons are working, the colors are in order. Everything that was initially stipulated to be done is done as per that document. So that is now who we have as the QA, as the quality assurance team. They're always very strict, but are very nice people to work with as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how do you get yourself, how do you start your journey into software engineering? One of the things I always share with people, most importantly, is I know today if you go out there and start Googling which language, whenever people start their journey in software engineering, the first thing they start is, which language should I learn? Should I go for Java? Should I go for React? Should I go for PHP or Python? Kwanza Python inakaanga tamu sana. Should I go for Python, and so on? You will always get so many YouTube videos. You always get so many articles. People always challenging each other on which one is the best tool to have. My strategy is always, my advice is always, find a group of people. It could be an institution like maybe CodeVertex. So what you can do, you sign up for a class. You get there to understand the basics, to understand the fundamentals, right? It's a very good place to start. I myself went to Moringa School. We have people who have gone to the likes of Zindua School, those who have gone to the likes of Gomai Code, and which one else? And others as well. So find an institution to get to learn the basics. Here you'll get technical mentors, you get people who already do these things on a day-to-day basis. Then they'll teach you like the basics, the fundamentals. This is how you push code online. This is how you initialize Git, which is a collaborative versioning tool. They'll tell you how to launch. What is an IDE? They'll teach you all those simple basics. Now, once you understand those basics and you've collaborated with a couple of team members, you've gotten support as much as possible, the next step is to challenge yourself to get into a place where you can build projects. I always believe that sitting through long tutorials, reading long books, reading all those times, it doesn't get you really, you get into that loop of always wanting to learn and learn and learn and learn. You don't get to achieve anything. So it's always advisable that once you get the fundamentals, and you need people to hold you, if you don't have enough money to get into institutions like that, then you want somebody to hold your hands, okay? Somebody who can show you, like a mentor, somebody who can show you, hey, this is how you do this. It will save you such a lot of time. It will save you such a lot of time and resources as well. So all you need to do, get the fundamentals. Once you get the fundamentals, start building projects. And don't build, you can always begin with this normal tic-tac-toe, those simple tools, basics that you see. But immediately you're done with that, you need to step it up further by now building your own projects. Just sit down, think about a solution. Think about, what if I built a website for my school? What if I built something for to order people to order food, people to do these things? And then you start step by step, just learn what are the steps what does an application that does this particular thing that I'm trying to do need to do. So you'll realize you need to have a database. Go out there, find out what is the best databases. For those who are a little bit advanced, you understand right now even databases are changing. We even now have vector databases that are used by AI tools to ensure that you can be able to do very good indexing. After that, learn about, how will I store my data? Okay, you need a database. Which kind of database is good for this particular work? You'll realize there's no SQL databases. We have SQL databases as well. Okay, fine. So I've identified how I will store my data. How will I retrieve my data? So you realize then you need to understand how APIs, REST APIs work, how databases communicate with the code. Then after that, you'll learn how to write APIs, how to query databases, how to use API to connect your front end and your back end. And then after that, now you go onto the front end side. How do you write, which is the best tool that I can use on the front end? You have so many front end tools that you can use to build your application. Which one is best suited for this application? Not which one is popular, which one is best suited for this application. So if it's PHP, you go for PHP. If it's Python, you go for Python. If it's React, you go for React. If it's TypeScript, you go for TypeScript. And then same for the backend as well. Once you've built your application and it's running locally, then you need to be able to now think through, how can I then push or deploy this application? So then you start learning things like AWS, you learn things like GitHub, of course you learn things like CI/CD, you learn things like GCP, DigitalOcean, Vercel, Netlify, all those tools. Now because now you know what you're trying to achieve, and now you'll pick the best tool for this. The worst mistake to do is to try and learn everything at the same time. When you try and learn everything at the same time, then you end up spending so much time and making very minimal progress. Another worst thing to do is to spend so much time in YouTubes and tutorials and not actually writing the actual code. When you write the actual code, that is when you get to have that hands-on experience, and you get to learn as much as possible. So those are the roles. That is how you can start into your career in software engineering. And then, of course, you move forward. Now, once you've mastered all these things, the next step is getting internships and jobs. I'm going to be very frank with you. As a junior engineer, it's very hard to get opportunities, more so locally and even globally. It's very, very hard. I have worked as a recruiter before. I have seen the number of jobs that I've been able to place. And I won't lie to you, the number of times I was able to place an engineer are countable. A junior engineer is countable. You don't get many companies hiring for junior engineers, not because they don't want to, it's just because that maybe budgetary constraints. Sometimes you have $3,000 to get a job done, right? It's going to be very, very hard for you to then have an entire team of engineers. It's going to be very, very difficult. You just want to spend 1,000 or 2,000 to hire senior engineers, and then after that, get the project done. So it's very hard to hire junior engineers. So that doesn't mean that you should lose hope either. What that means is you need to get better at your craft to a level that you can challenge an intermediate engineer. At the same time, you can work closely with a senior engineer. But then also, you can build so many projects as much as possible so that you can definitely be able to showcase your projects to hiring managers and even company owners. A best place to start is always to identify a company. Let's say if you're around, and let's say you may be in Kisumu, and you identify there's a company here that does this. Then you understand how their system works, the tools perhaps that they're using, and then build something that's called complement that. Once you do that, then you can meet the engineering team, showcase what you have done. And once you do that, then they will be always open to have a slot just particularly for you. So those are some of the ways that you can always get opportunities as fast as possible. Another one is also to volunteer. I know studying can be hard. I know mastering your craft can be hard. And then sometimes you always want that, after you're done, you want to get into an opportunity where you can just get an opportunity. You're going to get to the space where you can just get an opportunity quickly. The best option always is always to volunteer as well. When you get in a place where you can just volunteer for free, just go in there, learn. Once you start making impact, then you can start having conversations around, hey, do you guys mind now paying me to retain me? And things like that. And if they don't, you can always move forward to another organization. And now you have learned, you have experience, you can now start applying for intermediate jobs. Another one is also to compete in hackathons. Compete in hackathons, let people identify you, let them see your skill set, let them see what you're able to deliver, and then they'll definitely reach out to you and give you opportunities. Again, software engineering is a place where you need to showcase what you can do more than say what you can be able to do. When people see your work, they want to associate with you more than when they hear you talk about it. So there's a popular quote that says, "Talk is cheap, show me your code." So that is a very practical example of how people work in this space. Now, AI is here, and AI is definitely going to replace people. And it's not going to replace people in a bad way. It's going to weed out people who are not actually very good at their craft. I view AI as a tool, as somebody who I think it was this. All right, yeah. I view AI as a tool that is supposed to help you get better. When I see AI rewrite my emails, when I see artificial intelligence help me come to help me do my research, help me get to understand topics even much faster, especially if I'm learning something for the first time, I always ask AI to break it down to me as a 4-year-old, as a 5-year-old, as a 10-year-old, so that bit by bit, I'm able to understand the concept even much deeper. That, I believe, is a very good use of AI. It doesn't mean that you can always just copy code directly and paste it somewhere and just hope that the AI does things for you. You also need to be able to understand the logic behind some of the things you're building. Now, engineers that are using AI are moving much faster, are building better products, and of course are also ensuring that they save they're also saving on resources, which is also a very huge part in building softwares. So if you AI is going to if you're a software engineer, you need to learn your craft, and most importantly, also use AI to get better at whatever you're doing. So that is one of the ways you can use AI. Now, we've seen companies uh, do things faster, which means you get one engineer who was writing the entire 300 lines of code, now can have that done in like 10-15 minutes. They now tend to shed off some of the engineering team because now they have AI to support them. So rather than paying people a lot of money, they invest in AI tools to help their topmost engineers to be better at their craft. So you also need to be able to use AI tools to get you moving faster. It doesn't mean that you need to remove your engineering heart and just be somebody who copies AI and just recklessly uses AI. You just need to be able to also put your human and engineering heart and be able to guide AI to get to where you want to be. So I think that summarizes. I know I've spoken quite a lot on how to some of the career options you have in software engineering, how to be a software engineer, and of course, how to use artificial intelligence even to get way, way better rather than looking at it as a threat. I think that is all I can say for now. In case you have any specific questions, then I'm always happy to answer them. Back to you, Robinson.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Wycliffe. So maybe like I'm going to welcome Shirley to maybe take up some few like questions. Then she can welcome the task. So Shirley, are you on the call?
Yes, Bill, I am.
Yeah, maybe you can take it away and take some few questions. Then you can welcome Titus.
Okay. Thank you, our speaker, Mr. Orao Wycliffe. That session has been very insightful. Personally, I've learned a lot, and thank you for breaking things down from the start to finish, say from junior to senior and all that. At this point, we'll welcome any questions you have for our speaker, that is a solutions engineer at Gebeya. So you can raise your hand or you can type your questions in the messages section, and then I'll read them. Those are typed, and if you have any questions you want to speak, I encourage us to speak out. You can speak up and tell us your questions, and then we'll answer them. So who is going to be our first? You can raise a hand, and then you unmute your microphone. Hello, we don't have any questions. If you don't have any questions,
Sorry to cut it. I see Emmanuel. Emmanuel is saying, why do most software engineers act like AI is a bad thing? Yet newbies use it to learn and build tech skills. Okay, this is amazing. Sometimes it even feels like we are doing something wrong hey, for using it. Oh, okay. This is a hot one. Give it to our speaker.
Yes. So it's not a bad thing, to be honest with you. If I think if you watch closely the news, even the partnership between NVIDIA and OpenAI, you realize there's so much demand for compute power, especially to run artificial intelligence tools. I don't think if it is a bad thing, to be honest with you. I think even in the next 3 to 5 years, I'm seeing a lot changing in the software engineering space. You'll realize that even I highly doubt if the companies will be using websites anymore. This is such a wild prediction, but I think companies might not be using websites in the future. There'll be a lot of agents. There's a lot of agentic AI happening right now. There's right now we're at a place where AI can go online, check out which flight is which is the cheapest flight, and then even book and reserve it on your behalf. All done by AI. So I feel there'll be a lot of agentic AI. That's why I'm seeing a lot of partnership between some of these mega companies trying to build as much compute power as possible. I've seen just in the latest release by OpenAI, I saw them try to rival what N10 has done, which is building automation and workflows. So right now you realize you can actually build agents or workflows within OpenAI, which I found to be very, very interesting. Although I haven't tried it myself, but just watching the demo just gave me a little bit of insights on on what the future might look like here. I think software engineering is a space that is very interesting. I won't lie to you. There are people who say a couple of things that might not be the truth, and there are people who actually say a couple of things that actually are the truth. Let me give you a good example. When I used to work as a recruiter, I would go to panels for where senior engineers would advise people on how to do salary what is it called, negotiations, right? So they'll tell the engineers like, hey, if you have 1 year of experience, you need to ask for 100,000. If you have 2 years, you need to ask for 200,000. And if you have 3 years, you need to ask for 300,000. Well, for somebody who's not been in recruitment or hiring, who's never hired before, or maybe they had 3 years and somebody paid them 300,000, it actually looked like it's the truth. But in real sense, if you ask somebody like myself who saw a couple of offer letters go to engineers, you realize that offers are different based on a company. You could be having 2 years of experience, but a company could be paying you 800,000, depending on the company you're working on. You're 8 years, and a company would be paying you 120,000. It all depends on financial muscles of that particular company. So and how they also their pay scales and things like that. So if you are part of that conversation and you're not aware of this, then you're likely to go to an interview, and when asked, what is your salary expectation? And then you'll be like, I actually have 4 years of experience. And then be like, I need 400,000. And at that time, even the CEO is not earning 400,000 in that particular company. So you realize that, you get to miss the mark. So again, using AI is not bad. Forget about what I think you have to balance between the noise. There's this thing that I've learned just the other day about the noise and signal ratio. You need to balance and siphon what is actually noise and what is actually a signal. If AI was that bad, if using AI to write software was such a bad thing, you wouldn't hear industry leaders like Mark Zuckerberg say that 20% of their current code has been written by AI, and in the future they're seeing 80% of it being AI generated. They wouldn't allow things like that. And if you look at the amount of investments, the talent wars that are happening, how companies are poaching AI specialists into their companies and spending all those money. I know something that perhaps you've never heard, or maybe some of you have heard about it, but did you know that Microsoft did not have work for some of their AI specialists, and they actually had to pay them so that they are not poached by other companies? So that tells you there's a lot of future in artificial intelligence. So even using it to write code shouldn't be something that really bothers you. And you realize sometimes maybe the person who might be saying this might not be really, really well versed with the space itself. I know it was a very long answer, but I wanted really to, because this is something that people talk about a lot. When people say, using AI will make you dumber, if you can't write by yourself, I think it's something that it's not proven. I think anyone who uses AI responsibly will definitely get to achieve what they're trying to achieve in person, as a person. All right, so I just go to the next question, which companies accept someone who volunteers as a junior to gain experience, and what qualification will they need? So companies that normally look for volunteers are companies that are in the beginning phase, like they've just started. They're either 3 to 4 months old. They're not sure, they're trying to hire, those kind of things. They're just trying to set the house in order. So you keep bugging them, you keep meeting their CEOs, their co-founders, their engineers, and volunteer. Those ones are very good ones. Well-established companies have very long procedures because they have to account for each and every person in their company, what they're doing, and their contributions towards the general goal of the company. So it might be very hard to get opportunities, but if you see somebody who's starting their startup, a business just set up, then those are the best places to volunteer. The skill set they're always looking out for is somebody who can always learn faster. Today, if I was a full stack Java developer, and I wanted to volunteer at a company and figured out like their entire code base, both front-end and back-end, is TypeScript, then I need to learn quickly and start using TypeScript on their code base. And I need to step up and be able to contribute wholesomely towards that particular code base. So the skill set that you're looking for mostly is always agility, adaptability, and also being teachable, right? Sometimes you get somebody starting, like for example, if I was to start my company right now, I would need somebody who will understand my vision and my goal, and also they'll be humble enough to want to learn and work closely with me. So you have to be a team player as well. So those are some of the skills that they're looking for. So it's not necessarily that you have to have this years of experience or anything like that, but you have to have that more personal skills, and you also have to be very confident in your skill set. In 9 out of 10 chances, you will not know exactly what you're doing whenever you get into a job, but the more you continue at it, the more better you become. But most importantly, also, you also have to have some fundamentals. You have to know some basics. You need to know how to query a database. You need to know how to push code to a GitHub repository. You need to understand how you can version your code, how you can definitely collaborate with people as a team. You need to know when to not just mess up the entire team just because you are not able, you didn't want to ask a question, or maybe you felt like you'd look like you don't know or stupid, which is in most cases not an ideal way to go. So there are some of the things that you need to, some of the skills you need. Thanks for an inspiring session. My question is about whether when venturing into software engineering, is it advisable to use frameworks or not? I think frameworks definitely are very crucial for any application that you're building. I mean, if it's first you want to understand the fundamentals. To be honest with you, let's say for example, if it's just JavaScript, I think this is my personal opinion. It is always better to start with vanilla JavaScript. Like just get to the basics of all these things. You know, what is the underlying principle around? You know, it's let's look at this way. Driving a car means getting into the car and having getting your car from, you know, changing your car from parking to drive, and then driving, you know, moving forward. It's always the same logic. You know, you get in the car, you ignite the car, you put the ignition on, then you move from parking to drive, and then the car starts move, and then you accelerate. Now, in most cases, now you realize that sometimes you want to either do something different. You want to either, you know, reverse park, do all these things, do all these weird things that you want to do in a car. Maybe you are racing, you want to like have this, you want to do the whatever, the spin thing that you do with the tires, and there's so many things. So there's so many things you can do, but at the end of the day, the fun to be on drive, or for it to go back, it needs to be on reverse. So I think that is a very good place to start. Understand the basic principles of that particular language, the foundations of that language, and then use frameworks just to now augment what exactly now you fully understand. So I think that is the best place to start. But then again, if you feel frameworks are easy, just feel free to pick them up. But I feel like it will limit you because you'll only be good at a particular framework. Only to realize that you're learning PHP and you're only learning Laravel, only to realize there's also so many other PHP frameworks that, you know, a company could use. So you get into an interview and realize, oh, I actually don't know how this works. So that disadvantages you as well. Any risk involved with software engineering and cybersecurity? Oh, this is from Frank. Hi, Frank. Frank is a very good friend of mine. Thanks for joining. Any risks involved with software engineering and cybersecurity? I don't know how to answer this question because I'm not getting it clearly. Frank, maybe do you want to explain? Maybe you want to expound further on the question?
Yeah, hey, Wycliffe.
Hi.
Good session. So, my question was basically you've touched on software engineering and artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is October and people are talking about cybersecurity, and so my question basically was, if you're writing a code, how safe is that code? You know, or maybe are there going to be some breaches, you know, some cyber breaches, or maybe how do you guys tend to take care of the security, you know, of your codes? So
Absolutely.
if you can, then that'll be fine.
Perfect. I now understand. I now understand that 100%. So well, I think right now I won't lie to you. It's so funny how in Kenya, even right now, if you have to fill a cybersecurity role, you'd really struggle. There aren't like really as many software cybersecurity experts in the country, and this is because, you know, we don't really have really, I'd say, some of the best trainings when it comes to cybersecurity. I think anyone who gets into cybersecurity within Kenya, they always find it boring and they actually drop out. Most of them. A good example is just Moabe, the guy who just hacked Odibet. I think it's Odibet, just a few days ago, using some Telegram bot. And of course, gaining access to one of the APIs that is being used by the company. I think with now AI writing code, The challenge here is, and this is one of the things I've learned interestingly this week. Before you deploy a code, before you move code from your machine and push it online for people to access it, there are things. Let me get a little bit technical here. You've written your code in JavaScript, and you're using a database. Maybe it's called Superbase. I use Superbase as a database. Now, Superbase, you need to give JavaScript an access key. You need to give your code base an access key, popularly known as anon key, to your database. So which means your code can only access that database when it has that API key or anon key. Now, the weirdest thing is, if you're not really as smart, if you don't understand the security implications of exposing some of your details, like the anon key, if anyone has your anon key or your API key or access keys, they will definitely have access to your database. So these are supposed to be stored in some very secure files, like .env files, and then you also have to ignore them during deployment as well, such as with .ignore files as well. So these are some of the things that you need to understand. That's why I was saying it's very important to walk through the basics as well, so that you ensure that at the end of the day, you're not exposed, because AI will definitely churn the code, but then at the end of the day, you also need to put your engineering hat on and know when you're exposing yourself or not. But let me tell you one thing for sure, with AI development, there has never been as many loopholes as possible right now. I think one of the areas that is definitely going to be a big area of employment is in the it's in the cybersecurity space, because right now so much code has been written, and we don't really have so much security measures put in place. So I feel like so many organizations are exposed, especially if some of their engineers don't understand some of the crucial cybersecurity foundations. So that is definitely what we expect in the next couple of months or years. I'll move a little bit faster because I know time is almost out. How will someone blog their journey in tech in order to create a portfolio that describes your work well? As an engineer or as a techie, LinkedIn is a very good place to start. And why I'm saying this is because it's one of the most visited professional sites, unlike GitHub. Now, GitHub is also mostly when people just want to check, they want to get a little bit more than just the person, right? So you always want to have a LinkedIn account, and you have to be very persistent in posting. Hey guys, today I just discovered that, so that I don't have my keys exposed, I need to be able to do this, this, and this. Write an article about it, share it with people, let people read it. When you see thought leaders who are in your space, share articles, go like, comment, kind of put yourself out there, market yourself. This is a very good tactic. It will really help you a lot. So have your GitHub account, push your code there, let some of your projects be public, let people access them, let them see, collaborate with people, answer questions, be part of hackathons. That is a very good way to build a portfolio. And then, of course, build your own websites. It's always a very good thing. Whenever you go to an engineer and see what they've done, look through some of the projects, even if they're in the cybersecurity space, you want to see a paper they did, an article they wrote, or maybe a flaw they identified, they've explained it. It's a very good place to start. And also, you need to also be able to just ensure you have your contact details in all these places. Let people reach you easily when they want to collaborate with you, because that is also one of the things that I've noticed within the Kenyan market. So many good engineers, but sometimes if you want to get them, it's very, very, very hard. Maybe they have emails that they stopped using, and things like that. We'd love to have you join community, whatever. Okay, I think this is not mine. What are some effective ways for beginners to keep learning and improving after finishing a course? Yes, Shirley. I mentioned this earlier. I said build projects, your own projects. I think we are past that era where people would still have the same thing. Where people would still have the same You know how when you go to people's repository, you find kila mtu amefanya tic-tac-toe game, which is a JavaScript game. Or maybe everybody has done, what is the popular one? There's also one, it's been a minute since I looked at people's resumes but yeah, you need to build projects that are closer to your heart. Build a website for your school that allows people to collect and pay from, school fees using M-Pesa directly from the school website. Build a tool. I know most people do BMI calculation, where you put your weight and do this thing, and then they do this mathematics, and then they give you something on the front end. So do something different, do something special, identify where the problem is, then come up with a solution. And one of the things that I have to keep telling you guys, and this is a gospel I'm currently really preaching a lot. Right now, the power does not belong to the people who can actually write good code. The power now belongs to the people who can actually identify problems and come up with solutions. That's why I really pride myself in being a solutions engineer, being able to critically listen to problems and frustrations from users and then come up with solutions. That is where there is the magic. If you can think through a problem and come up with a solution by asking questions over and over, trying things over and over, that in there is the magic. Because right now we have AI that will be writing code. You just need to understand the fundamentals of software engineering. Then now the problem is, who is going to be on the driver's seat to come up with solutions? You need to be smart. You need to think. You need to read books on how to solve problems. You need to learn history. You need to understand, how has this problem been solved in the past? How can I augment it? How can I make it better? How can I make M-Pesa much better? How can I make our APIs much faster? How do I optimize database queries? How do I do all these things? But the only way to start is by, first of all, understanding the fundamentals. But again, the golden goose right now is being able to understand problems and come up with solutions. I think that will be my parting shot. That would be my last comments on this. But I hope I've done justice in answering some of the questions that you guys have raised. Over to you, Robinson.
Okay, thank you very much, Wycliffe, and thank you for taking your time to give us your insights about the software engineering career. Okay, so I'd like to invite Titus from CodeVertex IT Solutions to tell us more about our host, that is CodeVertex IT Solutions, and what we do, what the courses we offer, and more so about the software engineering course that is coming up. Yes, you're welcome, Titus.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'd cut in some time back, but I think now I'm here officially. So my name is Titus Wood. I'm a senior software engineer at Kenya. But I also work with CodeVertex. We are one of the founders with Robinson. Yeah, so basically what we are doing, what we've discussed here today, and what our speaker today, Wycliffe, has discussed with you guys, is actually building on now the Code Starter course that we are offering. Remember, actually, I was reading an article, I think a few days ago, where a company was hiring people who are going to do some code cleaning. So they used a lot of AI to write the code, and now at the end of the day, things were not working at some point, and they were in the deployment stage, and there was a lot of security breaches, and now they just needed experienced software engineers to come and debug and rewrite the code. Now, I'm not saying AI is bad or something that is bad to use, but like Wycliffe had mentioned before you dive into what do we call it, large scale use of AI just to generate code or do your softwares, I think what we need to focus on first, especially if you are a beginner, you want to join the tech space for the first time, and you want to build systems. Don't jump into using AI, just prompting it to maybe do a system for you. First, understand the fundamentals. What are the existing technologies that people are using in terms of data storage? That is the databases, the NoSQL databases, SQL databases. Understand that. And then once you understand databases, how do we connect our databases using the different tech stacks that are available there? So learn the core language first. If it is Python, if it is C#, learn to familiarize yourself with the language, the syntax, right from defining variables to functions to OP, and then get to frameworks, because frameworks make things easier. So instead of doing the hard job of now having to write, or maybe employing or having to collaborate with 5 developers at once to do a simple software, now that is where you bring in the AI and AI agents to help you do this, because already you understand. So it's like it's you and your AI agents as a team building a software. So you have to start from somewhere, understand the fundamentals. And that is what our code starter course is all about. Understand the fundamentals. And the way we teach, because the way AI is, we can't ignore that AI has changed the software engineering space. It is not what we used to know, where we used to go to, what do we call it? Stack Overflow to research and all that. No. Now, with a simple prompt, you can actually debug huge lines of code or write huge lines of code. And with AI code editors that are upcoming, it even makes it easier. I don't know, maybe just to ask really quick, how many people have used AI code editors before, and which ones do you know? Just give me, maybe let me just take 1 or 2 in the messages section, or just unmute or raise your hand. Anyone who has used an AI code editor before, or if you know of any AI code editor? Yeah, Shirley.
Yes, I've used Windsurf.
So there's Windsurf, yes, made by Codium, right? And then Emmanuel is saying Casa. So Casa is made by, and then there's also there's, oh wow, you guys. so there's Try, there's Claude, there's, oh, I didn't know Augment. Okay. So if you've used this tool, you realize that if you wanted to even build a point of sale system, you can actually just structure a prompt in a way that it's going to create tasks and actually write a whole code and generate a point of sale system for you. But remember, software engineering is not just writing code. You're connecting to databases. You're doing DevOps. So when you're doing DevOps, things get trickier, because you need to understand how to manage secrets. How do you manage files? Security breaches. You know, people can actually target your files. If your system is going to allow users to upload files, images, or whatever, I can target your system by just corrupting a file and uploading into your system, and it gets into your network or through your software, and then the whole company is now compromised. So those are the things that you need to know. How do you manage before that file gets to my system? And this code was written by AI. So basically, I need to really sit down to understand, or somehow I'm a beginner. I don't even understand what was done, and how do I manage my secrets? How do I, if you're deploying to AWS, how do I use S3 or maybe the different types of storages to actually secure my keys or things like that? So that's why you need to get to know the fundamentals. Git and GitHub. Learn a basic language and know how these things work. So once you get that together, now get into using you can start using AI code editors now. But even when you use AI code editors, there's something called prompt engineering. That is also one of the things that we teach in this course, so that you don't just prompt your AI, but you prompt it the right way so that you avoid these security breaches and actually build a system that is sustainable. And if you've used an AI code editor before, you realize that as your code grows bigger and you have different files or multiple files or modules, now it becomes hard for because the AI uses credits to actually, or tokens, we call them tokens, to actually scan through your files. And if your tokens are limited and your files are growing bigger, you realize that it's not able to scan your full code base and solve a problem to completion. So if you are a beginner who doesn't understand the fundamentals of software engineering, you will be lost in your own code when it gets bigger. And you find that some of these people who do vibe coding, if you're a beginner, you realize that at some point you don't even get to a point where you finish your project, because AI is going to now, if the tokens are not able to, like the code base is bigger and the tokens are not enough to scan the whole code base, you realize that now it is not even able to debug and solve some problems to completion. So you have files that have been truncated and you can't even fix that. But if you use prompt engineering and you know how to use your code editor, for example, you set roles, you set memories that it can go and look through, and before it does anything, it checks for existing maybe logic and all that, and goes back and make sure that you're just doing things the right way, then you're actually going to realize that you're not helping yourself and you're not moving. And maybe you're paying for that tool. So you paid for 3 months consecutively, you're not getting anywhere. You're not building anything that is actually, you're actually able to deploy. So through our Code Starter course, we are going to teach you the fundamentals right from what you need to know to when now you become an expert who can comfortably work and navigate through a whole system without having to depend so much on AI. You're only using AI to automate things here. Yeah, so at Bill, we can move to who is this course for? So of course you are asking yourself, if you are just getting into the software engineering, or you want to get into the tech space, this course is for you because it's a Code Starter, it is beginner friendly. And we all know that now that the software engineering space is changing, we are looking for different types of engineers. And the engineers who are currently hot cake are those people who are able to use AI. If you're one software engineer, you're able to work like 10. So if you train yourself to use AI and you also understand what you're doing, you're of course you are hot cake in the market. So yes, there is high demand of software skills out there, and I just mentioned that because now there's a lot of code there's a lot of software that has been vibe coded out there. There is also need for software engineers with experience who can actually debug and correct those systems. So that is something that is really coming up so fast because there are many systems out there that are stuck because of vibe coding. Then so I think I've talked about this, build a portfolio, global certification. Yes, when you do this course, you're going to get a global certification because we are ICDL certified, or we can say we are an ICDL accredited test center. So that means you're going to get a software, a certificate that is recognized worldwide. If you've done some research about ICDL, you realize that it's a European based organization that has actually opened branches in different countries in the world, Africa included. So in Africa, we are certified by ICDL Africa to offer their courses. And once you're certified, you are able to work anywhere with that certificate. So that's also an advantage of you signing up for this course. And what you will learn, I think I've talked about this, understand code, I've talked about that. Build real applications. Those are one of our methods of teaching at CodeVertex. We normally brag ourselves that we don't just teach you theory. Of course, we handhold you. We give you skills that you're going to use in the real world, and we make sure that you're involved in building real world applications. And this is integrated into our curriculum. Okay. So what will you achieve after the 3 months? So you will be able to do, you will be able to, we expect you to complete at least 3 projects at the end of your course. You'll also earn an ICDL certification at the end of the course, like I mentioned. You'll also get comfortable working with databases, and you also learn the fundamentals of the core programming languages that we normally use. Yeah, so let's get to the point where, so this is where we're going to say those who decided to take a move and those who decided this is the point where they draw the red line. But I want to say don't draw the red line here. At CodeVertex, we normally say don't worry about the fees. Just get the first, just make sure you are ready to learn and make the first step to sign up, at least with a registration fee. The rest of the tuition fees we will figure out during the course. And of course, most of our courses are highly discounted. As you can see, this one is highly discounted, 25,000, and you're paying it in installments. It's really unmatched compared to what other institutions are offering out there. And then also a benefit of this is once you're done with this, you get into a community where we handhold you, and you also get opportunities for internship to actually grow your skills and network to a point where you can comfortably apply and get jobs. And if one of our alumni or a number of our alumni are here, they will tell you that some of them are currently working at Safaricom. I wish one of them was here. Is there an alumni of CodeVertex here? And we mentored them once they did a course with us until a point where they were able to comfortably apply and get jobs. And you can be one of them if you actually apply and join our Code Starter course. I don't know if we have one of our alumni in the room. Bill, you can confirm, do we? Okay, if you don't, so how do you pay your fees? I think this is provided the moment you sign up for that course, you will get all this information emailed to you. So there is no, don't worry about this. You'll be able to get this. But in case you need to contact us, this is where you need to pay attention. So now pick a pen and a notebook or an idea pad, and you can actually pick our contacts. You can call us anytime, except past midnight. Don't do that. I don't know if Bill is okay with that or Charlie, but don't call me past midnight. So you can actually call us, or you can visit our website, or you can send us an email at info@codevertexitsolutions.com. So yeah, I might take a few questions, 1 or 2, but if there is no question, then back to you, Bill. Any question, 1 or 2? About the course, about the fees, anything you want to ask me, any A or B, anything that is out of topic, anything that you want us to discuss next time, just anything. It doesn't have to be within what we are discussing today. I'll take 1 or 2. You type or you can raise your hand. So I'm going to assume there are no questions. So back to you, Bill.